Hello and welcome to this one. And today is the day for mind shifting. Today is a day to literally shift the way you think. Today is a day for getting those thoughts that haven't served us and throwing them like in the bin. Today I have a lovely, lovely soul. Someone I have met through a community where we were all trying to build our brand as mission-driven messengers. And today I do have Irene, and we're going to talk about what has stopped you from being the person you know you can be. What is keeping you from getting that job that you know you need to get? What is stopping you from making the money you know you need to make? What is stopping you from leaving that marriage that doesn't serve you? What is stopping you from saying no to a client you don't want to work with? What is stopping you from going live and doing what you want to do? What is stopping you from releasing that offer? What is stopping you from becoming the truest version of yourself? What is stopping you from posting that photo that has no makeup? Why? What's wrong with that photo? Today we are going to talk about all things self-sabotage, self-doubt, and what is keeping you small. Literally, today I want to be point blank and say, what is keeping you small? That is the discussion today. Irene's brand really is all about how can you stop self-sabotaging yourself? How can you end those creepy feelings that you're not good enough, or you're not worthy of that and that, or you're not like the other woman? I don't know. Like, why are you comparing yourself with other people? Really, today's conversation is how to get the best out of your life unapologetically. So if you've been tiptoeing around who you are because you don't want people to hate you or something, it stops today. Today is the day you confidently and unapologetically walk into your life and become the person that you know you should be. Need I say more? Let's cross over to Irene. Irene, welcome to the podcast. I am so honored that you're having this conversation today.
I'm so happy to be here, Prima. Thank you so much. And I love the introduction because that is it in a nutshell. That is it in a nutshell.
Oh my God. Irene is a mission-driven messenger, and we wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for Brand Builders Group and Rory Vidden. So I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but yes, community and then community and then community. I am so glad that I got to meet this human being. Let's start from the center of this problem. Like, what is the problem that is existent in the absence of what you do?
The problem is people's subconscious programming. We have all grown up as children hearing negative messaging about our world, about our environment, about our cultures, about ourselves. And it only really takes one thing to happen and click. That thought starts to go on repeat. And that creates our subconscious programming. Those are the things that stay in our way that cause the problems of why we keep playing small, like you said.
But if you had to give someone an idea so that they can go, oh my God, this is for me, how do I know that my subconscious is playing? Because we don't even know how it works. We've never seen it. It's not like we're not aware. So I'm wondering if someone is like, oh my God, could it be that? Give me some indicators that we have the subconscious running the show in a direction you don't want, and yeah, catch yourself and go, yeah, that's really me. What's happening in my life for me to go, oh my God, this is totally for me?
Right. So I'm going to tell you a story quickly of a client that I worked with. When she was in the second grade, she stood up to give an answer. She raised her hand. The teacher called on her. She stood up, gave the answer. And the teacher said, oh my God, class, can you believe how stupid she is? In front of her whole class. She was in the second grade. So she learned in that moment that when you stand up to give an answer, to risk, that it is dangerous, that she was judged, she was humiliated, She was filled with fear. She thought she wasn't smart enough. So how that manifested as a 40-something-year-old woman is she perpetuated a pattern of, even though she knew the right answer, let's say she was in a meeting or she wanted to speak up or send food back at a restaurant, there was something that was holding her back, telling her, no, you're not, you're wrong. You're not safe to be able to speak up for yourself. You can't put the spotlight on you and say that you have the answer, because you could be wrong. And when you're wrong, it hurts. So we have these patterns that are everywhere in our lives. And oftentimes, I mean, obviously that teacher is a terrible example of, loving grace as a teaching professional. But most times these subconscious programming moments happen by very well-intentioned people in our lives. So it could be our moms, our dads, our siblings, teachers, religious leaders. It could be anybody. It could be one person standing in a grocery store that you'll never see again and looks at you and says something like, wow, you're pretty short for your age. Suddenly, you are sensitive to your height. And here's the thing, Prima, is that often we don't remember those instances, those snapshots, but it becomes our subconscious programming because our mind repeats it. So therefore, we become self-conscious about things that we never did before.
Oh my God.
It's quite amazing. And it gets into our way only every single time we're trying to play bigger than we currently are.
Wow. You remind me of my previous guest. I told her she was talking about illness and blah, and then I was like, okay, I have had a back pain for the last 27 years. Can you explain how that is related to what I may be doing that I don't know? And she was explaining that. I was like, huh. But now that you talk about it, she was like, every time I get angry or something, I push my feelings to the back. And that is why I have a back problem. And I was like, wow, okay, I never thought like that. But this stuff is really interesting for me because we would never tell. So let me ask you a question. Since we were babies and then we went to school and then we've been through life at 40 or something, we probably had 1,000+ of those experiences. How do we know which one is following us right now and which one is like, walk us through that, or even just walk us through your own story. Like, how do I know to go and pick up something from I don't know where? Like, where do I even start? Because we've lived life, things have happened to us. So how do we know what is consciously driving the show right now? Like, how do we even begin to get to that point?
Right. And it all starts with the awareness of our thoughts. And people think that we can't control our thoughts, but we really can. When we control our thoughts, we control our results. When we control our thoughts, we can control our results. And that's because our thoughts are not running on autopilot. That's the dangerous part with subconscious programming. It's all happening in the background. Just like when you have your phone and you want to cancel the app out, right? You swipe up and over and whatever. So those are the apps that are running in the background. So the app of self-sabotage, self-doubt, self-criticism, it's all of the things that are in the background are what are running your thoughts. So as soon as you start to notice those negative thoughts, so for instance, if you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. That was so stupid. Whoa, I don't need to know where it comes from in order for me to be aware to change it. I don't need to know that somebody judged me when I was 4 years old. I mean, sure, it's great if we pinpoint something, but we start from where we are. So when somebody says, oh my God, that was so stupid, I can't believe I said that, we could say, cancel, cancel, cancel. I've actually stood in a grocery store and let's say I made a mistake or whatever. I don't remember the exact situation, but I looked at the cashier and I'm like, oh, cancel, 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 because I said something of a result that I do not want. And she looked at me like, what? And guess what? It doesn't matter. right? She wants to judge me. That's totally okay, right? But it's that it was for me to have the awareness to me that I give myself the invitation of choosing a different thought.
Wow.
Now, you change the thought often enough, what's going to happen is the weeded over goat path that you have to the positive thought in your mind, that's going to become the superhighway. And the superhighway right now that your subconscious programming is on with negative thoughts about yourself, that's going to turn into the goat path. And that's the goal. When you work on transforming your thoughts, you transform everything else.
Wow. That's really powerful. This conversation, Ellen, I wouldn't be as excited about it until we go back to the person you were before all of this was your norm, before all of this was at your fingertips. Go back and kind of take us there, because we would love to see how this appeared for you. When we see you now, we can think, oh my God, she's Superwoman. But no, like, take us to the person who wasn't Superwoman and who wasn't like really changing lives, and give us a bit of that, because I'd like personally to kind of get that tissue and feel like you get where I am with my back problem.
Yeah. So I definitely was not the confident woman that you see today. I definitely wasn't. I grew up in a violent alcoholic home, and I was abused by my mom until I was 16 years old. So from a very young age, it was all about survival at any cost. At any cost. I was a doormat. I allowed myself, I chose manipulative relationships. I chose negative habits in order for me to feel comfort, to feel love. So, making really bad choices in high school, never getting a post-secondary education until I was almost 30, deciding to go from, boyfriend to boyfriend because I was looking for something and I couldn't find it. I was incredibly hurt. I was a wounded, very wounded person. And somebody told me about 17 years ago, when you change your thoughts, you change your world. And at that point in my life, I was in my 30s. I was single. I was so incredibly, I felt lost. I had a great job, and on paper, I looked great. I was 30 something, fit. I was, I had friends. I was out all the time. I had a car, I had my own apartment. Everything was great on paper. And inside, I felt like a fraud. It felt like nothing that I could ever do that I was going to actually win at in terms of being able to be myself. It was, I didn't know who I was, because I had covered up who I was with all of this woundedness and all of the story of being a victim, of saying, you know what, my mother would punch me in the face. My mother would kick me in the stomach. And that kind of stuff, it might be hard to hear. And trust me, it's not easy to say. But there's been a lot of forgiveness. I mean, I ended up forgiving my mother on her deathbed, which was one of the most beautiful things of my life, to be able to release that. But I had to make the decision. I really had to make the decision that I wanted more than what I had been. That even though everybody talks about, oh, you can be this and you could do that and you could be anything. And yes, I've programmed my kids with, they could be anything. But here's the difference. I actually believe it. And because I believe it, so do they. And so I had to go back and, reparent my thoughts. So the way that I parent my children and their thoughts about themselves, I had to do that for me first. And say, you know what, Eileen, even though this is your background, there is greatness. You do have a voice. You do have a purpose. You're not just here to be a punching bag. Nobody's forgotten about you. You're not alone. You belong. And it took a really long time to get here. And so when I talk to other people who feel the same way, who've had any kind of traumatic time, no matter what they've gone through, there is a way through it. There is a way through it. And I am living proof that there is.
I love that story. Basically, what you're saying is whatever you're attracting in life, which you don't want, you can change. You have the power to change, because it all starts with what's in your mind, what you're thinking, what's in the. But let me ask a question though. If you're attracting things you don't want, but you're not aware of the subconscious program, what's your view or lens on that? If I'm just maybe moving from toxic relationship to toxic relationship, or marriage to marriage, or for some reason I just feel like I'm not enough or anything, like how do I really catch myself? Is it what I tell myself, self-talk? Is it what I attract in my life that is showing internally how I feel? Or is it what I think about?
Yeah, those are all of it. And people will say, okay, so first of all, I have to be the thought police for my own head. And then I have to be the language police for my own self-talk. And then I have to try to fix everything in my life. And it can feel really overwhelming because we get so many messages, especially on social media. And like you mentioned, right off the top, of comparing ourselves to others. We wake up on a Monday and we're like, okay, I got to eat, 18 bags of kale. And then I have to, work out at the gym for 6.5 hours. And I got to get into a better relationship. I need to make more money. I need, blah, 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 right? And it feels so overwhelming. So what I recommend is look at your life and choose one result that you want to change. Just one.
Right now. Start with
Just one. Right. Start with one. Because how you do one thing is how you do most everything. So when you change one thing in your life and you create a habit, for instance, if, for example, you wanted to change the relationship you're in, because I talk to people all the time who are not in great relationships. And it is, okay, so look at the relationship and ask yourself, what results am I currently getting? What results do I want? What do I desire? And then ask yourself, all the questions. Is this person, like, am I going to achieve this with this person? What can I do to create the result that I want in this relationship? It's not about asking other people to change, right? Maybe this was a bad example, but let's just roll with it. So if you are not getting what you desire, choose what you desire, see what you can fulfill yourself, and ask yourself honestly, is this the relationship that is going to bring me what I desire? If it's not, then you have a decision to make. You could change the rules of engagement. You can change the relationship status. You can change the quality of the relationship by taking action. And so you can pick one thing. Is it more quality time that you want? And so it's an invitation to a deeper awareness of self, of what you want most of the time. And because we really we want to be free to be ourselves. And there's a gap. We don't entirely know what we want, or we denied what we want for a really long time. And we have a gap in intimacy with ourselves, a gap in vulnerability with ourselves. And so we're not really being honest about what it is that we want. So when we pick that one thing, it's asking us, okay, what do I want? And it can be really superficial sometimes too. And then paying attention to your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, and asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now bringing me to the result that I desire? If it's not, change the thought, because it's the thought that starts the chain of events. So it's thought, feeling, action, result.
I like what you said about people don't know what they want. It reminds me of something Oprah said, which is Most people in this world are unsuccessful and unhappy, not because they're not smart enough, but because they never take the time to be clear about what they want. Like a lot of people
100%.
are just walking around and they don't know what they want, but like, how can you actually get what you don't know? How can you expect anyone, including yourself, to get yourself to a place of achieving the thing that you don't know? And so if you're unhappy, if you're attracting things that you don't want, I think really the first step is be clear. Like, what is it that you want? Because the universe wants to give it to you, but you have to say what you want for the universe to bring it, or for your mind to wrap its head around it. Otherwise, if you don't know what you want, it will just make some assumptions, I guess, and pick from the programs that are already running, which is what we said here, which is more like what is running in the background when you scroll your phone, like what apps are running, and that's literally what we keep manifesting, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, think about it. As children, how many times have we been told that to think of ourselves, we're being selfish? And that we have to share, we have to consider other people. We have to always mind other people as children. We're raised with the assumption that we have to apologize for just being here. And therefore, when we're adults, we're invited to, or we're told, hey, you have to lead. You got to be a leader. You got to do it. Well, you know what? We spent the majority of that portion of our lives not being given permission, because as children, we feel like we need permission to say, hey, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to want what you want. So it's no surprise that when we grow up, if you're walking down the street, you ask 100 people, what do you want? Yeah, you're right. Most of them say happiness. Only 2%, and this is a staggering statistic, but only 2% really know what they truly want. 2% of people. How crazy is that?
That's crazy.
That if you were to walk down the street out of 100 people, 98% would say, I don't know.
Wow.
I want to be happy. And they would look at you like, I want to be happy. And
what does
2%
that mean?
of them would say, exactly. And 2% of them would say, well, oh, this is what I'm working on, and give you a list.
Wow.
And be clear.
Isn't it
so
crazy?
Getting to that clarity is, wow, yeah.
Isn't it crazy that when I think about it, up to now, people are still telling me what to do in my business, even though I have no idea what I do. Like, up to now, my family still tries to try and tell me what to do. And I'm like, since when are you like an online expert? Like, since when are you like my marketing guru? Like, my brother, my sister, who has nothing to do with online stuff, knows nothing, will wake up and say, but it's not working. And I'm like, really? How do you know that? And so I'm just thinking about how we are even still here. When we were little, we literally got told what to do because we were younger, and the adult was assumed to be like more intelligent, so more wise, and so our parents, and then we had like nannies, and then we had teachers, and then we had random people, and then we had gate men, and my goodness, like I just wonder how I even got here, given all the stages that like I had to go through, and deciding you know more because you're older. I think it's luck that we are all here, like alive on this podcast, and knowing or at least looking at what we want. I want to take you to a place where we can get kind of a step-by-step. How do I move from attracting all the things I don't want, being on auto, letting every program that I don't even know run, and literally being a passenger in my own life, to being the person in the driver's seat? Like, what's that step-by-step process?
The first thing, like I said, is always awareness. Always awareness. Awareness of your thoughts, awareness of your actions. Like, pay attention and wake up to your life. Because even though maybe, you're an entrepreneur, maybe you are, you have a career, you're in between jobs, whatever it is, there's something that you are maybe less than completely fulfilled with. So pick something and start choosing instead of sleepwalking your way through the day. Because so many of us wake up and it's the same thing. Oh, it's Groundhog Day. Over and over, it's the same thing. So be aware in your life. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now leading me to where I want to go? Second thing is knowing where you want to go. connecting with your vision. What do you want for your life? Then it's about opening up to what is possible. And this is where you really get to suspend disbelief. Because if you want your vision, right now, the person who you are right now is not the person who lives in your vision. And that's because it's the person you become along the way that lives in your vision. So right now, it might not feel possible. You might not see, from A to Z, it's like, how am I going to get there? Well, guess what? Okay. And I call it how hell. Being in how hell of how am I going to get there? That's where all the doubt comes in. So instead, how about giving everything over to the universe from B to Y? You've got A, this is where you are. Z is your vision. Everything between B and Y is none of your business. That is up to the universe to tell you how. The thing that you got to do is be aware, create your vision, hold your vision, and be ridiculously committed to obtaining it. So you got to lead yourself in taking the actions. You got to be able to influence yourself to take the actions that you need to take. They're going to be scary. You're going to need courage. Yes, absolutely. When you were first learning how to walk, it was scary. You held on to furniture. You're going to do the same thing with your goals. It's okay. You can hold on to furniture. Nobody's pushing you off a cliff today. So you have to ask yourself, am I willing to hold on to furniture until I can walk? Sure, I am. So go and take the actions that are brave and courageous at your speed. And then really stay committed until. Don't say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay on this track until the end of the year. And if at the end of the year it doesn't work, well, then all done. I'm giving up. The only reason why I am here today is because I said I was going to keep going until. And having that level of commitment, the confidence that it builds in you, knowing that, oh my gosh, I'm aware, I know my vision, I know that I'm going to be unconditionally faithful to what I want. And then you just keep going until.
Wow.
And it's not always going to be easy, but man, is it going to be worth it. And I know that sounds totally cliche, but man, is it going to be worth it. Because if you would have told me at 50 years old that this is who I would have been, even 20 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you.
It's crazy. I like this process. I want to recap, but then I want to go deeper on one point, which I like very much, which is very interesting for me because I think it's the hardest thing for anyone to grasp this. First step of moving from wherever you are, I would like to call this like being a passenger to being a driver. This is your life. You can either be a passenger and let any program run, even though you don't know who installed it, or you can be the driver and engage the gears yourself. Like you can literally be the driver and you can decide which gear you press and which gear you don't. If you're on the other side of auto, really you're just in a car and it's maybe auto-driven. Like you don't even know who's driving. All you know is you're seated in a car and you don't even know who is driving, but somebody's driving. And you're just being taken for a ride. So how do we move from being taken for a ride to being in full control of our life, in the driver's seat, engaging the gears? And step number one was awareness. Like you can't really change what you don't know. So by being on this podcast, kudos, bam, you're now aware. No more excuses. 2, be really clear of the vision. Where do you want to go? People don't die from anything but the lack of awareness of what they want. Because I can guarantee you, if you don't know what you want, no one will give it to you. It's like leaving your home and not having a GPS installed and I don't know, getting in an Uber. Where are you going? Where can they take you? It's really that. You get an Uber and you don't know where you're going. They could lead you there, maybe, I don't know, 100 years later, but clearly they won't because you don't know where you're going. So get your coordinates right. Where do you want to go? Go as far as you want, but if you can't go far, just get maybe somewhere and say, in this year, I want to go there. Wherever you can reach, just go there. 3, be open to what's possible. Be in the, like right now, I don't know so much stuff about spirituality, and I'm just an open vessel. I do not know what is possible. I don't know the modalities. I don't know so many things. And so I'm just an open vessel. And no wonder all these experts are coming on with like really life-altering work. Why? Because I'm just an open vessel. So find a way to be open and curious about the world. Now, there comes something which is very interesting for me in that place, which is the how hell. What we're being told is really we need to forget the how. But I also know that this is the hardest. It's been the hardest part of my life has been, but how? Picture this. I was born in Uganda, where mediocrity is celebrated. I went to a job because I was scared my dad wouldn't approve of me if I didn't go in a job. Engineer, got a job, and I didn't like it. I knew I wanted to do a business, but I was like, how do I start a business? Went on, got my MBA, and even felt more frustrated. And I was like, okay, I don't know how, but somehow I ended up in the business. And then I'm in the business, COVID comes and shuts it down, and now I have to come online. I know I have to come online, but I'm like, geez, how? I have an HP laptop that is old. I have a phone that can barely connect to the internet. I am stuck in Uganda. The internet costs a fortune, and the power is always on and off. And I'm like, me on the internet trying to build a business. I'm like, how is that possible? And then eventually that happens. And then I'm building this business. It's making money. And somehow I get this strong desire to do like a spiritual platform, a platform that literally helps people end their suffering. I am the last person who understands anything spiritual. I'm like, what? I'm more like action, do this, action, result, action, result. And now I have to kind of step into this world where I used to think is woo. And I'm like, okay, now I have to like start woo-rising myself. And all of this while, for me, the biggest problem was the how. And I believe that for you to understand the how, you have to build a muscle called the surrender muscle. And so at the end of this small summary of mine, I'm going to ask my speaker to really explain how that muscle is built, because it has been my hardest struggle, knowing that I need to go here, but not seeing the steps. And I think sometimes I have had to take a step, and hopefully I didn't land in like fire. Like I landed and, oh, there was a step all along. And when I landed, the next step opened. But that experience, you can only catch it. Like no one can teach you that experience. It is this fight, this struggle, and then one day a step just boom appears and you're like, wow. You take the step and it's so rewarding that now you get momentum to wait for the next step. But I want her to explain to you how that muscle is built, like how you let go of the how and just move and trust that the universe will bring the steps. After that step though, now you need to take aligned action to the thing that you want. You have this vision over here. Now we take aligned action, things that get us there. And you stay committed. Stay committed, because progress likes consistency. So you stay committed and committed and committed to your vision until you get there. And you refuse to even think that there's a possibility that you won't reach there, because where there's a will, there's a way. So first of all, what did I leave out? And second of all, how do I build the muscle to surrender and really give up the how? Because it's really harder than I can explain to anyone. It has been very hard for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, first of all, totally celebrating you for all the steps that you took, because you took them in faith. And I'm not talking about a religious faith. I'm talking about that faith in the universe, the faith in when I take a step, the other step provided for me, you know? So yay for you, because so many people are still standing on the edge of the cliff saying, I'm afraid to step off.
I don't know the how.
Right. I don't know how the step is going to appear. So, and here's the thing, is that this isn't about sitting in your house and just expecting things to manifest out of thin air. That is not the way manifestation works. Okay. Like you said, we do have to take aligned action, and we do have to have a plan. And let me tell you, whatever plan you have, even when it's imperfect, and everybody needs to hear this, you can and will be successful even with an imperfect plan, because you are consistent, because you're holding your vision. And it's releasing well, how is this going to get 1,000 followers? Well, guess what? It's not about how is it going to get 1,000 followers. It's having faith that one person can share it with 1,000 people.
Yeah.
You don't need to know how it's going to happen. So $10 is just as easy to manifest as 10 million. And people are like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, well, here's the thing. How many ideas have you had that could have netted you $10 million, but you pushed them off because you didn't see a way how? You didn't understand how. So what would have happened if you would have sat down and said, okay, who do I know that can help me with this? I have an idea. It's not going away. It was given to me. It was downloaded to me. Who do I know that might know somebody? The thing that people do the most is let go of their best ideas. And they just let them die. Like, I don't know who said it, but there is more potential in the graveyards around the world than there is in the world today. Like, crazy thought, isn't it? That all the ideas that we pass with because we didn't have faith in ourselves. So releasing the need to have it all planned out, and and allow yourself to be like, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen. This is my plan, and I'm just going to choose to walk in faith. And what would it look like if you could just hold that vision and keep that emotional connection to your vision? That's the key. Most people, and we've heard it all before, long after we've created the goal, right? Actually, sometimes not too long after we've created the goal, we lose the intention, we lose the emotion that we had when we made the goal. And we're like, meh, not a big deal. That's why it's so important to revisit your goals every day, to look at your vision, to sit down and visualize yourself every day in your vision. That is what you're sending out to the universe and saying, this is what I desire. Because thoughts are things. Thoughts are magnetic. Thoughts are on a frequency. And we could talk about woo, but your thoughts is what controls, your thoughts are your reality is a reflection of every thought you've ever had. Think about that for a second. So if you could think different thoughts, what kind of reality would be reflected back to you? Because it already exists. It already exists. You just have to consent to it. You just have to say, yes, I want to bring this into my consciousness right now. Yes. And
I want to take carry on.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to ask you that. I want to ask you the connection between stepping into your full purpose with building your inner wisdom or your intuition or being connected to yourself. Because I find like I get a lot of clarity when I am inner focused, and I get a lot of I get really stuck when I focus on coach and mentor. The more I look outside, the more lost I get. The more I look inside, the more it really clicks. I would like for you to speak to that when it comes to really going after the life that you desire and the connection with self, or I don't call it like inner wisdom or something like that, because I feel like it's a very important piece.
100%. A few years ago, I was walking through our field and they had just taken off. We have a farmer that takes off the corn or whatever it is that they're growing there on the backfield. So I'm walking through this freshly, and it was about this time, it was the middle of September, and it was windy, and I stood there and I had the wind in my face, and I stopped, and it was probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I looked east and I looked west, and I felt so small, and not insignificant small. I meant in the grand scheme of the universe, I felt so small. Like, wow, it was such a humbling moment, right? To see our own humanity at that scale. And I thought, what am I doing with my voice? What am I doing with, what is next? Where do I get to go? And then I thought of people like Mother Teresa, Beyonce, Oprah, Steve Jobs. Like, what is it that they have said, done, how they've expressed themselves, how they used their consciousness, how they were just completely uninhibited in exploring themselves to the world. Like, isn't that so beautiful? And then when we think about it, why can't we? Why can't we? So, and it's not from a comparison thing. It's from an inspiration thing. Because we're not looking at the Beyoncés of the world saying, what does she have that I don't? That's not it. It's what does she have that is a mirror to me? I have a voice. I have a desire. I am creative, whatever it is that you've ever wanted to do. And people confuse purpose with needing to make money with that purpose.
Can you say more?
They confuse that. You don't need to make money with your purpose. You don't need to earn, receive anything with your purpose. Mother Teresa, she wasn't cutting a check every week. Gandhi wasn't cutting a check every week. So it's, what is our purpose? And we get to explore that and then be brave enough to show it. So somebody once explained the word intimacy to me. And I've heard of people describe it as into me you see.
Wow.
And that never, and people love that, but that never really resonated with me. And the explanation that resonates with me the most is me exploring me in front of you. So how do we get to explore? Imagine if the world had no more subconscious programming, how we were just love. And we were able to always feel safe. I mean, I know that this is a utopian vision here, but if we always felt safe, if we always felt connected, if we always felt like we belonged, and we saw each other for who we truly are. When we're playing on the playground in the sandbox when we're 3 and 4 years old, we're not looking for their faults. We're not looking for what they have and we don't. We're not comparing them to us. We're asking them to play, and we think their toys are pretty cool. And we want to play with their trucks, and they want to borrow our shovel. Like, what would it look like if in our world we could play well in the sandbox again? Wow. If we just saw each other in that way, and everybody could feel that they could explore themselves in front of us. How great would this world be? How great would humanity be?
Wow. I've always said that if everyone was healed and whole, the world would be beautiful. There'll be less chaos. Everyone's work would be easier. People would make more money. Relationships would be better. Parenting would be better. Like, it's really my goal in life, and even for this podcast, to bring awareness to most people so everybody can try and heal themselves. If everybody was healed, whole, and regulated, I can't really begin to see like the end of it. When I look at your work, I'm thinking if everyone was unapologetically more authentic in their truest essence or skin, if everybody was very clear of their visions and missions and they were going after that, if everybody could find their experiences or whatever the uniqueness is and immerse themselves in going after that, the service of others, like, how better would everything be for all of us?
It'd be beautiful.
Really.
It'd be
What's
beautiful.
paint for me that picture again? Because I feel like I want to stay here. Like, what is possible from this life of being a passenger in your own seat? Things happening and you don't know, stuck in toxic relationships, stuck in businesses that don't go anywhere, stuck in jobs you hate, stuck in abusive places, stuck in every area of life, feeling like an imposter, really, feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you're not allowed to be who you are, feeling like who you are is not enough. Paint for me that picture. What can happen when we actually get curious and get down in the mud and do this work? Paint for me that picture, because I really want to seal it in someone's mind today.
It requires suspending that disbelief, because really anything becomes possible. When you look in the mirror and you can actually see who you truly are, you accept yourself at a radical level. You are no longer apologizing for being somewhere, for trying to belong. Like, you belong because you do, because you belong to you. That feeling of being complete, being confident, speaking up, allowing things to be neutral, just the level of joy that you have just by being, the quiet mind, because you're not comparing yourself anymore. There's no more self-deprecation. There's no more regret. There's no more wondering if. Most people wake up at night because they are so worried about what they haven't done. Well, there's an easy cure for that. Get on it. Start doing the things that you want to do, and you're going to sleep better. I promise. That's what worked for me. Start taking action on the things that you want to change. They won't keep you up at night anymore. We are so concerned with what we don't have and what we didn't do. Instead, we got to be more concerned with what we desire and doing what needs to be done to get after it.
I love it. And while at it, learn to surrender. The surrender muscle has been one of the most beneficial for me. Knowing that I can let it go and still achieve it. And what I can say is when that muscle starts to grow, it's mind-blowing. Because for every 1 inch you surrender, I feel like I get 3 back. And for every 5 inches I surrender, I feel like I get 10 back. So if you have like 0 surrender muscle and you have to know the what, the how, the proof, give yourself even like just some time to go through that darkness. And I guarantee you there's always like such a reward to the darkness that is worth now going like 5 inches deep. And one day you'll be at my level where like, I honestly don't care how it happens. course it does. But I do have to be clear of what is it that I want? What is it that I want the universe to bring to me? And one of the other tricks that I use, I don't know if it's a trick or no, is before I go to bed, I literally say, this is what I'm looking to achieve. So please bring the answers, bring the clues. This is what I would love to see manifest. Like I tell my mind, like the answers I'm looking for, and sometimes I'll write it. I'm looking for an answer to this, and an answer to this, and an answer to this. Universe, get to work. And I sleep. And in the morning, I'll begin to see the clues, the hints. I don't know how, but I sleep. Yeah. And when I wake up, then I begin to pick up every day. Like I begin to pick up small answers, small hints. But you really have to be in class to receive the hints, because sometimes they don't come labeled as hint number 1. Like you really have to be in class. Like you have to catch them when they come, and you won't do that if you're consumed with noise. So silence your world so that when the clues come, when the answers come, that you know when to take that aligned action. It's what I would say. I know you've been doing this work for 12 years. And I don't know if you can pick at least three of your, I don't know, your best people, and kind of walk me through what is possible. What have you seen possible for people? And I know you've also done big shifts for people in 2 hours. So I don't know where you pick, but I want you to pick like 3 people and just tell me about like the experience of what can happen when we begin to shift these programs that are running the show that we don't even know are running the show.
Right. So the first person that comes to mind is someone who was in a very narcissistic, abusive relationship for just over 20 years.
Wow.
And she was able to understand her patterns and the parts in the patterns. And it was her woundedness that was attracting this. It was her staying wounded that allowed her to stay in a relationship that she was no longer fulfilled in. And she was able to end that relationship.
Wow.
And it was
20 years.
Just over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. There's another woman who she is in her late 50s. And when we started working together, she said, I wanted to give up. I was heading towards a complete nervous breakdown. And when I asked her, and she's an entrepreneur, and she's the kind of woman who she wants to have her hand in everything because she loves everything. She's so productive. She's a go-getter completely. And within a few months, she went from a 2 on 10 in terms of how she felt, in terms of her happiness in her life, to an 8 on 10.
Wow.
And she can't believe, she says, I was reading my journal from last year and I can't believe where I was. So, and here's the thing, these are all transformations that I've witnessed. These aren't things that I've created. The only thing I've done was show somebody what their blind spot was. Because I can see their subconscious programming in their language. I could see the subconscious programming in their result based on their history, their relationships, the results that they're getting now. I could see it. So when I point to it, they're like, oh my God, okay, this is a self-worth conversation. Or, oh my God, like, I don't trust myself. Or, so there's everything is possible. There's a woman I started to work with, and she is a brilliant energy healer. And when we worked together, just a few months before, she'd made just under $200 in a month with her own business. Now she's making in the, almost mid 5 figures because she's been consistent. She's taking action. Like when you get out of your own way, and these are just examples of some of the women that have touched my heart the most because of how profound that transformation was. Because that woman who's growing her business, what else is possible for her? A woman who she's a triathlete and she never saw herself as a triathlete because she's overweight in her 50s.
Mm.
And when I looked at her and I said, you're a triathlete, right? And she started to cry because nobody ever looked at her and told her who she was.
Mm.
They told her who she was through their lens. They didn't see her. Like when women become free, when people see themselves as they truly are, incredible things happen because then they allow themselves, I'm getting emotional, then they can allow themselves to do these really big things in their lives. So what becomes possible when you start to step out of the conditioning, that subconscious programming that is holding you back right now? What couldn't you do?
Nothing.
I don't think there's anything that you can't.
I've seen one person say, activate your $1 million life. This is really it, like your $1 million life, which refuses to be anything less than what it is. I really love this, Eileen. I really, 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 really love this work. How do you do the subconscious part? I have seen people do hypnosis. I have seen people do timeline. I have seen people do many things. How do you do this reprogramming of the subconscious?
Yeah. So I have a process called the vision contract. And what you do is you go through this process of really identifying who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have. And it has to be in that order: be, do, have. And then you program your subconscious mind through repetition with this vision contract. And by doing that, you start to see evidence of your vision in your life. Now, typically, it takes 8 to 9 weeks. This isn't a, click and it's done. It takes 8 to 9 weeks because of repetition. That's the way the brain works. That's why there's other modalities that aren't as effective, because they're not actually repeating. They're not repeating the program. This isn't a magic trick. It is science. So by them repeating their vision contract, and we have a whole process, but by them repeating their vision contract, they are programming their subconscious mind for different results, the results that they desire. So on average, between 8 to 9 weeks, they start to see incredible results. So results like selling out a course, results like having their daughter say, "Thanks for everything you do, Mom." And she would never have thought, and it was almost verbatim as what she wrote in her vision contract. Manifesting love and relationships, like literally, I've manifested hot tubs, dryers, 7 figures, the love of my life, my business, my collaborations. I've manifested it all because I focus on my vision, and I too have a vision contract that I repeat.
They do have. Interesting. I should come to you for that. I don't have a vision contract, but it's interesting. I want to be this. For me to be this, I need to do this so that I can have this. I don't know. I'm just getting it out of my nose at this point. Ellen, I'd like to kind of talk more about the program that you do offer. Could you give me more about that and how we can really get our hands on it?
Absolutely. So much of the work that I do is one-on-one, and it's incredible transformation that we do one-on-one. So I also have a program called Evolve, and Evolve brings you through, it's a self-directed program that brings you through the stages to get to that place of manifestation, to get to that place of learning how to lead yourself, learning how to influence yourself so you could start taking the actions that you truly desire. And the mind and body breakthrough. This is an incredible, it's a 21-day transformational program that really looks at, because, you know, we don't really have a quality of life unless we have our health. So and so many of us, I mean, you know, talking about the 18 bags of kale and stuff like that, you know, sometimes there's stuff that we don't want to do in order to enjoy health and longevity. And that too, it's all subconscious programming. So the 21-day program, the Mind and Body Breakthrough, helps look at what's happening in your subconscious programming that is stopping you from achieving those health goals that you want, so you could live a longer, healthier life.
I love it. And if someone were thinking, where do I start? If I wanted to have a look at the program, if I wanted to work together, if I wanted to navigate that path, what should I do?
Yeah. Well, reach out to me. You can go to eileenmacdonell.com/breakthrough. And I know that you're going to put the link in the comments, and there you can book a call with me. And here's something that I want to offer your audience is a gift of a 2-hour or up to 2-hour. Hey, if you just want, you know, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, that's totally fine. But a 2-hour transformational, powerful coaching call. This is not an enrollment conversation. This is a full-on how I serve. And really wanting your audience to understand what can be possible, you know, and it's whether it's working with me or working with anybody else. It's just, these are kinds of, this is the thing that you could do to get out of your own way right now and move on from there. And then we could talk about the programs that I offer, or if there's somebody else in my orbit that's like, you know what, I don't know if I can help you, but I know who can. I'm absolutely happy to refer people to other support systems that they could benefit from.
Eileen, she is a mission-driven messenger. So when she says, I will serve you for 2 hours, believes that she will, from her heart, that she will serve you and expect nothing back. I have give credit to Brand Builders Group that brought us together, because this is such a wonderful collaboration, and it's been amazing to have you on the show. I really, really am excited about this. Can't wait to hear this. Can't wait. I think I'll be taking her call as well, so I can have an experience and probably attach it to the show and say, hey, I had the call and blah, blah, blah. This is what I got. I probably can go and release my limiting beliefs as well. But as you know, this podcast is a 3-way thing. I'll use this until I find like an actual thing which I can give you. The podcast is a triangle. So Eileen is over here with her gifts of really going into the subconscious and weeding out everything that is not serving you, so that you can get yourself back even better. I'm over here, and my role is one, really, I translate the soul. So my job is to make sure that this message does not disappear in the noise of 20K promises and 2-hour work weeks, if you've seen those online. The best is the person who is listening, you. And really, you're the best of this podcast. And the way it works is whoever is supposed to get this message to transform their life is 1 inch separation from you, or 0. So if you're listening to this message, if somehow this message got to you, 2 things. This is a spiritual podcast. 2 things. 1, this is your message. And literally you've been pulled to it because it's supposed to start something inside of you, and you're supposed to come to this call, experience the 2-hour, and this is the how that you're asking the universe to bring to you. And it's right here, it's answering. But also the other possibility is, this is not your message, but the person that this will be life-changing for is just 1 degree separation from you. And all you have to do is get this link, drop it in their private space, and literally say these words. I watched this interview and I thought about you. Drop the link. Don't share on Facebook. Don't share on Twitter. No, no, no. Just get it and share it in someone's private space. Just one person that you truly believe that if they met Eileen, they would change their life. Their life would never be the same. Who do you know that is tiptoeing around their life right now? Who do you know that is playing small? Who do you know that is stuck in a situation that does not reflect the person you think they are or they can be? Who do you know that has been wanting to quit their job for the last couple of years, but they haven't got to it? Who do you know that could be changing the world if they got out of their own way? This is the person that we want this message to bless. So I am having the faith and confidence that you will be the best vessel for this message. And as always, hit that subscribe, hit that follow, hit that like, comment, review, all the things. Because here's the thing, when you do those things, it's like you're blowing a whistle and you're saying, hey, there is something happening here and I would like for you to be a part of it. So the world is like full of people, and when you blow that whistle, the people on that frequency will just come. It's like assembly time. So by subscribing, by sharing, by reviewing, by rating, that's exactly what you're doing. And that is also the second thing you can do on top of sharing it, which is really the main thing you can do. We're getting to the end of this, and I wonder what your parting words would be for us.
First, Prima, thank you so much for just releasing the how and having faith and stepping into this and stepping into your purpose and what you're meant to do, because your light is giving other people permission to shine. And I love our deepest fears words from Marianne Williamson. So beautiful. And you are a living embodiment of those words. So parting words that I would have with you is keep going. Keep going until believe in yourself again. You're not gone. You're still here. There is still breath in your lungs. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to serve? Whose life do you get to affect because you decided to step into your purpose? And you know what? Even if today you don't think you're a $100 million singer like Beyonce or Bette Midler or whoever, if you don't think that that's who you are today, that's okay. Because remember, the person that lives in your vision is not the person that you are today. And it's the person that you become along the way. And I want you to know that even though we haven't met yet, I know and believe that your vision is possible. You just have to take the next step.
I'll end with this. In 2020, I came online and I was convinced that I was supposed to be changing lives, inspiring people. I always knew that I was made for more. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know that you're made of a different fabric. And this is your path. This success is for you. The inspiration, everything that is happening is for you. You already know that the operas of this world are not any different from you. You already know that you're made of a different thread. So I had that in me, but in the same wrapping came something that said, look in the mirror. You're from Uganda, and the only thing people know about Uganda is starving kids. Who do you think is going to listen? Literally, you're disqualified. I had that little voice in my head, and for 9 months, I didn't make a sale because I would see someone who needed my help, and then in my ear, there would be, look at you, like, really? What do you have to teach someone in New York if you're stuck in Uganda in a country with no internet, no power? And so I had those feelings going. And one day, I listened to an event that was being led by a gentleman called Nick V. something. His ministry is life without limbs. He really has no legs, no arms. But he is the most inspiring person I have ever listened to. He was on a stage with thousands and thousands of people roaring and shouting, "No, we love you." And I looked at him and I was like, wow. By this time, I'd listened to Tony Robbins like 100 times, and I still was having that little voice saying, no, you definitely don't want to do that. I'd listened to Oprah, and Oprah had said, yes, you can. And I was like, yeah, I don't know my situation. I'd listened to Grant Cardone. I'd listened to anybody and everybody. And everyone was like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. But then 1 week later, I was back to Prima. Look in the mirror. Where are you from? Nick said, I could sit here and feel pity for my lack of arms and lack of legs, or I could literally use that as the evidence that you need to go out there and start doing what you do, because whatever disqualifies you is the reason you should go for it. And I kid you not, I saw this man, he had no legs, no arms. And I was like, okay, if this man can inspire millions of people, I believe I can. And I think that was my reprogramming in that moment. And I forgot about all my problems and I started going after it. And today we're here in this moment. And so I wanted to share this story because I know you're made for this. The fabric is there. And you literally stepping into your life could be another person's dream. Nick doesn't know me. I have never met him, but Nick is the reason that I never gave up. And everything I achieved today, I credit that gentleman for not having legs and arms. Because for me, he was the proof that I needed to know that my message mattered and I had a brand, literally. And so by playing small, by downplaying yourself, you're denying the one person in this world who is literally reliant on you stepping into your fullest version to do the same. And if you keep doing what you're doing, I hope that you'll be okay, knowing that there are souls like those that will perish because you didn't step up for yourself. Literally. That is where I end. Eileen, I am so grateful that you become the human being you are. I appreciate you for being here. But what I like to celebrate my guests for is the time in the wilderness when no one knew you, when nobody thought you could help them, when nobody cared, when you took the step in faith, all those moments that we didn't see that led to you being such a blessed and impactful guest for us. We want to celebrate those moments in the darkness when no one knew you, when no one saw your posts, when nobody saw your tears. We want to celebrate them today because we are the best kept secret. Understand what it means to be a best kept secret. And so thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you so much for blessing us with your story, your gifts, and everything in between.
Thank you so much, Prima. It was such an honor to be with you. Thank you so much.
And that was it for today. Together, we can reduce suffering in the world and help everybody become healed and regulated, because a world of everyone that is healed, regulated, and whole is a world that we don't want to take a break from. And I hope that together we can achieve that. Have a beautiful day. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.